Before I learned about the gospel, I had a wonderful life, a great family. I was a teenager and things were going great, but I didn't know that I was missing anything. I didn't really have a relationship with God. I don't know if I had ever prayed before. My name is Karen MacMaster, and this is my story. When I was about 15 years old, my brother learned about the church. He had a friend that taught him about the church, and he was really excited about it, and he became a member. I didn't really know anything about it and wasn't involved in any of that process. And then it was a few months later, I think, that he came up to me and said, "Do you want to know why we're here?" And he proceeded for a couple hours to tell me where we came from, that we lived somewhere before we came to Earth, and why we're here, what's our purpose to be here, and where are we going when, after we leave this life. And I just remember it being the most beautiful thing I had ever heard. I didn't know at that time, but I really felt the Spirit. I felt a lot when he was sharing with me all that he learned in a very short amount of time, because he hadn't been a member very long. And I remember starting to go to church with him, and I think my parents were a little worried that now another child was going to a church they didn't know much about. And so to put their minds more at ease, I went for some time, about 8 months, and then asked them if it would be okay if I got baptized too, and they said yes. And so my brother actually baptized me, and that was really special. About a year later, he went overseas to Barcelona, Spain, to serve a mission, to be a missionary and to teach others about the gospel. And about a year after that, I went off to college, and now we were both away from home. And one day, my mom was having lunch at her mom's house, my grandma's house, and some missionaries knocked on the door, and they invited them in, and she started getting interested herself in learning more about the gospel, and eventually my dad as well. But they didn't tell my brother. Here he was serving and teaching other people in another country, but they didn't tell him what was going on back at home in regards to learning the gospel for themselves. And so when he got home, they surprised him and said, "Will you baptize us?" That was also a very special moment for our family. One of the special things that our church has is we have temples, a place where we can go inside and learn more, and special ordinances that we do. And one of the ordinances is that we seal families together for eternity, for beyond this life. But there's kind of a 1-year waiting period between when you're baptized and you get to go. And so a couple months after my parents got baptized, my husband proposed, and I said yes. And then it wasn't too much longer, my brother got engaged too, and we wanted my parents to be there for that special day. We wanted to wait till that 1-year mark of their baptism. And so a year from the day they got baptized, we had 3 special weddings. We watched my parents be sealed in the Oakland, California temple. Then we all drove to Los Angeles and watched my brother be married in that temple. And then we drove back up to Oakland, where I was married to my husband. That was also a really, really big thing for my family. And even though I love that story, there's somebody that's missing from this story, is my little sister, who I love and adore. And she, I think she learned a little bit about the church, but it wasn't her time yet. She wasn't ready for this in her life. But that time did come several years later. One day, missionaries walked up to her door and knocked on her door, and she let them in. And she and her husband embraced the gospel at that time, and their children, and they were baptized. And again, the 1-year mark, they wanted to go to the temple, and they decided that even though we were from California, that they thought there was a very special temple in Utah, the Salt Lake City temple, that they wanted to be sealed in. So we all drove to Utah to watch them be sealed in the temple, to each other, to their children, to my parents, and then our family was complete. I know when I first learned about the gospel and how families could be together beyond this life and are sealed in the temple, that was a wonderful principle to think about at 15 and 16 years old. But now that I'm a grandparent and raised my family, it's become a greater joy, a joyous principle. It's brought me great joy. One thing I was thinking of, obviously the temple has been a big part, a special part of my family's story. But I know before I learned about the gospel, I had a wonderful family. I had a good life. It was a great life. I was 15 and things were good, had friends and everything. But I didn't know what I was missing. I didn't know there was something more. And I wanted to share with you that the gospel brings me great joy in my life. It's taught me how to strive each day to be the best person that I could be. And it's also taught me to think outside of just myself and to serve and love others. It's given me opportunities to do that many times. And I feel like it has brought so much to me, to my life. And so I'm so grateful to have it in my life. And I'm grateful as a parent raising children that I had it as a guide in their life to help them to make good choices. So if there's anything I wanted to share with someone that doesn't know about the gospel, that to be open to it, you don't have to wait for missionaries to knock on your door like what happened with us, but to find out for yourself, especially in these times where things are a little strange in the world and in our country, that it could bring you peace and joy and comfort as you turn to the Savior. And I just think that give it a chance. Let the Spirit testify to you